In our previous segment, we have discussed about the mouth parts, that is the structure of the tongue, the dentition, the arrangement of the teeth, structure of the tooth. Then we have discussed about the details of the salivary glands in detail. Now we have completed the mouth parts of the alimentary canal. Just after the mouth, the structure that is actually not a part of alimentary canal, but we generally discuss with the alimentary canal only, that is the tubular parts, that includes pharynx as well as esophagus. So today our major emphasis would be on the discussion about the pharynx as well as esophagus. So first we will discuss about the pharynx. So mouth leads to an opening which is what we call it as the buccal cavity. The buccal cavity opens into the pharynx. So buccal cavity leads to pharynx. Pharynx is a tube of around 12 centimeter in length, and this tube passes from the soft palate, that is the posterior-most portion of the buccal cavity or the oral cavity. It is a long tube of around 12 centimeters long tube it is. Then it arises from the region of the soft palate. Clear? And we know the soft palate is located where? In the posterior most part of the oral cavity. The soft palate is located. So from the soft palate, the region of the pharynx arises. So basically this pharynx are of three regions which are there in the pharynx are oropharynx or nasopharynx, and the third one is laryngopharynx. So nasopharynx, oropharynx as well as laryngopharynx are the three structures or the three parts of the pharynx. Now let us first discuss about the nasopharynx. So first is nasopharynx. So it is a part of the pharynx where the nasal chamber, mainly the internal layers, opens. So nasopharynx, it is a part where internal layers opens. Now if we draw the that diagram which we have drawn for the buccal or the oral cavity, that simple diagram, so this is, let us say this is the nasal chamber, this is the outermost part which is what we call it as nostrils. Nostrils or external nares, means external nose is the two holes which are there, and this is internal nares or internal nostrils. So this is the region where nasopharynx is located. So let us label the nasopharynx in this diagram. So nasopharynx is located somewhere here. So this is the region of nasopharynx, and this is the tongue part, and this is the upper jaw, and this is the lower jawbone. So first part is the nasopharynx part. Nasopharynx, it is a part of the pharynx which where internal nares open. So this is the region of nasopharynx. Naso means it is related to nose, that is internal nares or internal nostrils. Now the second part is oropharynx. Let us discuss about the oropharynx. Oro means it is related to oral cavity, and another name of oral cavity is buccal cavity. So oropharynx is the part of pharynx where the buccal cavity is located, or it is located behind the buccal cavity. This is what you can also write. So the region of the pharynx which is located behind the buccal cavity or the oral cavity is called as oropharynx. So it location wise, it is located or it opens behind the oral or buccal cavity. Clear? Now there are specialized cells of which the oropharynx is lined up or it is made. These cells are called as NKSS cells. they are nothing but the simplest epithelial cells or the epidermal cells. NKSS means non-keratinized squamous epithelial cells. So non-keratinized squamous stratified epithelial cells. Clear? And the cells which are lined with the nasopharynx or the cells which made the nasopharynx are pseudo-stratified squamous epithelial cells. So the cells are, let us write here only, nasopharynx is lined with columnar pseudo stratified squamous epithelial. These names are too big to remember, but they are very easy. Clear? So nasopharynx is a part of the pharynx where internal layers open. Location wise for oropharynx, it is located behind the oral or the buccal cavity. The cells which are lined or nasopharynx is lined with columnar pseudo-stratified squamous epithelial cells. And oropharynx is also lined with non-keratinized squamous stratified epithelial cells. In short, it is called as NKSS. N for non, K for keratinized, SS that is squamous stratified epithelial cells. So this is about the oropharynx. And the third part of the pharynx is laryngopharynx. So laryngopharynx. What is larynx? Larynx is nothing but the voice box. Clear? It is called as voice box. Larynx is voice box. The region which is located in the neck region, in the neck part, which is responsible for producing the voice. So larynx is called as the voice box. So location wise, laryngeo, it will be behind the larynx. So location, it will be located behind the larynx part. And what is larynx? It is the portion or in the neck region which is also called as voice box. The specialized cells which are lined with laryngopharynx are also of NKSS cells only. So laryngopharynx is also lined with NKSS epithelial cells. And what is this NKSS epithelial cells? Non-keratinized squamous stratified epithelial cells. NKSS means non-keratinized squamous stratified epithelial cells. So we have labeled nasopharynx. So where oropharynx will be located? Oropharynx will be located somewhere here in the mouth or the oral cavity. So this is the region where oropharynx is located. What about laryngopharynx? Now when we draw these two demarcations, when the tubular parts start, actually there are two tubes which are located within this region. The first tube is the anterior tube and the second tube which is located behind this anterior tube is the posterior tube. The location is also different, so of course the names of the tube will also be different. The anterior tube is different and the posterior tube is also different. The tube which is located anteriorly is called as trachea, and the tube which is located behind this trachea or the anterior tube, that is the posterior tube, is called as esophagus. Clear? So where laryngopharynx will be located? The laryngopharynx will be located somewhere here. So this is the region of laryngopharynx. Clear? So these are the three parts of the pharynx, that is oropharynx, nasopharynx as well as laryngopharynx. The details, what you have to remember is the location and the type of cells that it is lined with. Clear? Now basically the two parts, that is pharynx and esophagus, does not have a major role to play in the digestion. That means that pharynx as well as esophagus will act as a passage by which the food can be easily transferred to one or the other part of the alimentary canal. That means if the food is here in the mouth, it will lead to pharynx. From pharynx the food will go to esophagus. As such, no digestion, that means no chemical reaction of digestion takes place either in the pharynx or esophagus. Now, this trachea part is very important. Or overall, we can say that the pharynx part, why we are discussing with the digestive system is because it is a common connection point of food as well as air. So, pharynx, I am writing here only. Pharynx is a common connection point of food and air. Now, how this is a common connection point of food and the air? So, from this nostril, that is the nose, we will breathe in the air, and this air will go into this region, that is the trachea. Trachea is also called as windpipe. Esophagus is also called as food pipe, because it carries the food and the trachea carries the wind or the air. So, from here, that is atmosphere, with the help of nose we will breathe and the air will come here. Now, from this buccal cavity only, we will eat the food, it will go to esophagus, that is the food pipe. So, this is the common connection point between food as well as air. In the part of the laryngopharynx it is located. So, there should not be mixing of food with the air or the air with the food. That means, when food pipe has to open, when the food is there in the mouth or the oral cavity or the buccal cavity. When the food is not there, that part has to be closed. So, the opening or closing should be regulated by a valve, should be regulated by a muscle that will open, then it will enter. If it is closes, the food will not enter. So, trachea has the opening which is located at the upper end. The opening is what we call it as glottis. So, this is what we call it as glottis. You can label glottis here also. Now, glottis is again guarded by epiglottis. Glottis is again guarded by epiglottis. So, glottis is guarded by epiglottis. Now, what is this epiglottis? Epi means above. Above the glottis, some muscular sphincter is located, and that is what we call it as epiglottis. So, epiglottis is a kind of sphincter, muscular sphincter, that will regulate the opening or closing of glottis. Clear? So, normally epiglottis will cover what? Food pipe or windpipe? The answer should be food pipe only, because if epiglottis is covering the windpipe, we cannot breathe in. If we are not breathing, what will happen? There is no respiration, no ATP will be produced, that is adenosine triphosphate, no energy will be there, and if there is no air, the person may die. So generally, epiglottis cover the food pipe. Clear? It will not cover the windpipe. When it cover the windpipe, when we are swallowing the food, so food has to go into esophagus. At that time, this opening closes. And who closes this opening? Epiglottis. Clear? So this is all about the pharynx. And the function of the pharynx is, it acts as a passage for the collection of the food from buccal cavity to esophagus. So what is the function? It is nothing but a passage of food from buccal cavity to esophagus. Clear? So this is all about the pharynx part. Now, pharynx leads to esophagus. So now we will discuss about the esophagus parts of the alimentary canal. So let us discuss the esophagus part. Esophagus is considered as the first tubular part of alimentary canal. In esophagus also we have to discuss about the openings, the structure, like that, and the function. So after pharynx, again the one more tube-like structure is there, and the tube-like structure is called as esophagus. So esophagus. So after pharynx, that means pharynx leads to esophagus. pharynx leads to esophagus. If you are talking about the dimensions of the esophagus is around 22 to 25 centimeter long. It is again the longer tube. So it is 22 to 25 centimeter long tube. Like pharynx, esophagus also has its own opening. That is the upper opening as well as lower opening. Esophagus is considered as the first tubular part of alimentary canal, and another name of esophagus is food pipe. So esophagus is also called as food pipe. Now why it is called as food pipe? Because it carries the food. That means it is acting as a passage by which the food can be passed on to stomach. That is from esophagus it will lead to stomach. So why it is called as a food pipe? Because it acts as a passage for food. That means it carries the food from itself, that is esophagus, to the stomach parts. Now when we are discussing about the esophagus, let us draw a simple tube with the openings. This opening will lead to a bag-like structure which is called as stomach, and this is the entire region of esophagus. How much long? 22 to 25 centimeter long. Now this esophagus, like pharynx, has two openings, the upper opening as well as the lower opening. So this upper opening is called as gullet. G-U-L-L-E-T. G-U-L-L-E-T. What is gullet? The uppermost opening of the esophagus, which is connected to the pharynx, because before esophagus we have just now discussed what is located in the alimentary canal or the tract. Pharynx part is located. So the uppermost opening of the esophagus is called as gullet. Now when the gullet will open, the food from the pharynx will go to, or the buccal cavity will go to esophagus. So it acts as a passage of conducting the food from buccal cavity to the stomach. That is in between structure, which we also call it as esophagus. Now this is the innermost lumen of the esophagus part, and this esophagus leads to stomach. But there is one more opening which is located within the esophagus structure that will lead into the stomach. That opening is again guarded by a sphincter. Sphincter is again a circular muscle. When it will open, the food from esophagus will enter into stomach. When it will close, there should not be a backflow of food from stomach to esophagus. So once food has entered into esophagus, that sphincter muscle will close, so that food from stomach will now not go back into esophagus. So that opening, that is the lowermost opening, is nothing but a muscular sphincter. So let us label that muscular sphincter here only. Let us say this is the muscular sphincter. The name of the muscular sphincter is cardiac sphincter. The name of the muscular sphincter is cardiac sphincter. The another name of the muscular sphincter is, since it is connected to esophagus and stomach, it is connecting these two portions, that is esophagus as well as stomach. And for stomach, the medical term which is used is gastric. So this opening or this sphincter is also called as gastroesophageal sphincter. So another name I am labeling it here only, gastroesophageal sphincter, and the opening is called as gastroesophageal opening. Clear? So let us write about these important points also regarding the sphincter. So upper end, that is the upper opening, is called as gullet. The lower opening is guarded by a muscular sphincter, and that muscle is circular muscle sphincter. Sphincter means what? It is a circular muscle. It is acting as a wall. When the wall will open, the food will enter from esophagus to stomach. When it closes, no movement of food will take place. Clear? Now from stomach it will lead to the intestine part. So it is lower opening is guarded by a muscular sphincter, and the name of the muscular sphincter is gastroesophageal sphincter. It is also called as cardiac sphincter, and the opening is called as gastroesophageal opening. Clear? So these are the two important points in the esophageal region. Now there are four important layers which are present in the esophagus. So four important layers which are present are, so layers of esophagus. The first one is serosa. Name of the layers is very important to remember. Serosa, muscularis, the third is submucosa, and the fourth one is mucosa. So there are four layers which are present within the region of the esophagus. When we take a cross section, the layers that are visible under the microscope are serosa, muscularis, submucosa as well as mucosa. This mucosa layer has goblet glands or goblet cells and these will secrete the mucus. Clear? A separate video will be made on all these four layers of the alimentary canal in the later on part. So you need not to worry. So layers are serosa, muscularis, submucosa as well as mucosa. Now if we specifically talk about this muscularis layer, now this muscularis layer is not uniform, it is somewhere mixed. Effect is also seen. Somewhere smooth muscles are there, in some regions of the esophagus striated, that is the skeletal muscles are also located. So the division is like this. I am talking about this muscularis layer. Upper 1/3 portion of the esophagus is made up of skeletal or striated muscles. Clear? Upper 1/3 I am talking about. Lower 1/3 portion of the esophagus is made up of, or it is lined with smooth muscle. And what is remaining now? The middle 1/3 portion. The middle 1/3 portion is combination of both these muscles. So it is combination of smooth and skeletal muscles. Let us see with the help of diagram also. So let us say this is the upper 1/3 portion. This upper 1/3 portion is marked with the skeletal or the striated muscles, and this lower region is again 1/3 portion which contains smooth muscles, and the middle 1/3 portion is combination of smooth as well as skeletal muscles. Smooth muscles, that is combination of, the middle portion is combination of smooth as well as skeletal muscles. Now interesting thing that we have to note here is, once we take the food, once we intake the food from the mouth part of the buccal cavity, it will go to the tubular region, that is the esophagus. That means once we swallowed the food inside the esophagus part, that is the tubular part of the alimentary canal, then we lose any connection or any contact with that food. That means now it is swallowed, we cannot take back this food out in the mouth or the buccal cavity part. So what is the indication? That once it is there in the uppermost region, it is within our control. But once it is inside the esophageal part, we loses the control on the food. Now food has to compulsorily go to the stomach region only. So this is all about the muscles layer, that is upper 1/3 in distribution, lower 1/3 distribution as well as middle 1/3 distribution. Now function, that is the last part of the pharynx. Function, as I have already told you earlier also, that pharynx and esophagus has only one purpose. It is acting as a passage of food. That means it carries the food from till stomach. The food is carried using the esophagus part only. So function of the esophagus is to perform the peristaltic movement. Peristalsis, Peristalsis, peristalsis of food within alimentary canal, that is within the esophageal region only. Now what is this peristalsis movement? Peristalsis movement is the circular movement of food within the tubular parts of the alimentary canal, and this rhythmic contraction of the circular muscles, which are all these three muscles of the esophagus, will lead the food from esophagus into the stomach parts. So the main function of esophagus is to perform peristalsis of food. What is peristalsis? It is nothing but the circular rhythmic contraction or the movement of food within the tubular part, that is within the esophagus part only. Okay, now esophagus leads to a pouch or bag-like structure which is called as stomach. So our next task would be to discuss about the stomach.